Elkridge is now. Right here in beautiful Elkridge. This is the second, I think, of our town halls that we've had here at the fire station, but we've also had one over at the Elkridge Branch Library. They're usually asked for by our community, and in this case, Elkridge Alliance specifically asked for this one to return to Elkridge, and so we have complied with that and brought with us lots and lots of friends. Before I introduce them, I would like to make two announcements. One is recognizing the elected officials who have joined us here in the room today, and they include Delegate Terry Hill, who I think is joining us shortly, Delegate Vanessa Atterbury, Senator Clarence Lamb, Delegate Jessica Fellmar, Councilmember Deb Young, Gibson, and Board of Education member for my hearing District 1, Meg Riggs.
Vicky is here from County Exec. Vicky Garcia is here.
Oh, and Vicky Garcia is here for the administration. Thank you. Three announcements I wanted to let you guys know about because they are specific to Elkridge. The first concerns the ongoing state highway work at Dr. Patel Drive. And Mary from my office, who's over here, and Wendy Royalty from my office, the chief stuff in the back, is also here. But Mary got this update for us on Friday. And it says, the subcontractor responsible for the traffic signal has completed installation of signal foundations, a cabinet base, a metered electric service pedestal, and all electric conduit for the traffic signal. The subcontractor has started installation of conduit that will provide a connection from the new signal to the existing signal on Montgomery Road for coordinated timing. That installation should be done next week. Continued progress on the sidewalk and ramp construction will continue next week. With Dr. Patel, the priority, the contractor will not move to Goldenberry until we are further along at Dr. Patel. We will continue to document until that work is done. If you have any concerns in the meantime, please always contact our office. Number 2 on my list is Elkridge parking at the library. Right now there's a bill pending before the council that addresses electric vehicle specific parking at the library. We have a map in the back that will show you where that would occur. My only concern with it is that would take away some of the existing parking, which is scarce on a good night. Right, Tonya? And so I wanted to make sure that you guys were okay with that. So if you want to check the maps or call us and we'll send you the information we have about it. That vote is actually going to be the first Monday night in October. So any feedback you can give to me about that would be greatly appreciated. And number 3 was, today our council district office sent a letter to Dr. Ball. There has been some communication back and forth between the executive and the Board of Education about the money set aside in a prior capital budget to buy the land, to purchase the land for the Elkridge High School. And recently, the executive in the end of August or so wrote to the Board of Education and said, good news, Troy Hill is back on the table. And maybe that is good news, and maybe it won't be back on the table in another 6 months. Whichever it is, we want that $15 million that was put in the budget 2 years ago to stay there for that purpose of buying land to site our new high school here in Elkridge until it is a certainty where that will be and that we don't need it anymore. So that went out today. Probably worth it to send a note to the Board of Education or to the executive or to the council mail saying, please keep that money where it is. Okay. Now, those are your District 1 public service announcements. With that, I will turn to our actual agenda this evening and turn it over to Laura Wisely. But we have many friends with us today, and I will start with police. We have Captain Tanya Ribble, who's our Northern District Commander with the Part-Time Police Department, and she is brought up here at the table with her Lieutenant Chris Knudsen, but she has other friends joining her on the side. Thank you all for being here. We have Tonya Akins, who is the President and CEO of Howard County Library System. We have Director of Recreation and Parks, Nick Mooneyhan, and then last but certainly not least is the President of the Howard County Community Action Council, Tracy Broccolino, who announced a groundbreaking just down the street on Route 1 for a new campus service center. To this
fourth Thursdays of the month, and there are flyers in the back if you want more information. And the reason why we called this meeting today was about a year ago we had our first town hall based on what the feedback we were getting from our community meetings. And while there were interventions in this past year, there is still though a need, and that was sensed at our last few meetings. It was kind of escalating, so we realized we needed to reconvene, and we need more strategies, we need more intervention. So I just also wanted to share with you a couple of things that we have gathered, and the information that we've gathered from the community so far. And it kind of comes to first just highlight, when we're here to, we're here because of deterring crime and improving safety in our area. And there are kind of three strategies that I'm sure these folks are going to touch on tonight that are going to highlight that. And I'm going to share a brief overview of the community results of our priority survey that we had out in the community. And they kind of fall right into this line. So in order to deter crime in an area, one is environmental changes. So lighting, less light, landscaping. Two, community and social strategies, youth programs, even including a high school in your area can also have its own effect of being present in an area, and the value that comes with that for youth programs. Having a community center, social services. And then three, enforcement and policy changes. So police presence in our hotspots. I know you can imagine where our hotspots are. And staffing. When I bring up staffing, from 2010 to 2020 census, the Elkridge population increased by 63%. But so some of our questions tonight will be, has our police staffing increased to those levels? And we've continued to increase yearly, but that was our biggest gain. And so has our staffing in our area kept up with our population load? So now to our results. We currently have it still live, it'll still be live through the end of the month, our annual Elkridge Priority Survey. And that's where we gather from the community, what is on your mind? What are your top priorities? Where do you want money spent? Because this is where we're going to go. We're going to give this to anyone who has a wallet to give out money, that where Elkridge wants the money spent. And so if you haven't filled it out, communicate with us and fill it out this in the next couple weeks. So far, we've tallied our results. The number one thing, by far, probably 3 to 4 times, was police and crime deterrence services. So hence the meeting tonight fell right in the car, and I actually tallied those results after I called this meeting. So, it also was our simultaneous selected as our top 3 priority for the highest number of responders. Specific concerns mentioned in our average of responses included issues with Route 1 motels acting as crime hotspots, a perceived lack of police presence, particularly at the Green Valley substation, which respondents described as underutilized. Another critical finding was a passionate and consistent demand for a future high school. And again, a high school can also add to deterring crime. Keeps families here in our communities, part of our community, eyes on the community, presence. So our families are exhausted at the end of the day. I know I'm exhausted. I have 3 teens down at Guilford Park High School, and going to the back and route the night. We go out to Elkridge City for all of our events and sports. It also has workers come to Elkridge to use our businesses, keep our businesses afloat, and have consumables in our area. People can live near where they work, and also deter youth crime by having them be able to participate easier without having to get a ride or, for a long ride just to get to be able to have an activity that's free. The other key findings from our study was improvements to Route 1 safety and aesthetic improvements, so cleanliness and placemaking. Responses highlighted issues with speeding on local roads, abandoned properties, roadside littering, and a general desire for Route 1 to be cleaned up and enhanced. There's a clear link perceived between aesthetics and broader community well-being, including crime reduction and property values as articulated by some respondents. And then third was fostering community spaces and opportunities, so as a recommendation. So we're hoping that as you get a will have a question and answer session, okay? So your questions are gonna be coming. So if you just hold, let's just give them a little bit of time to present, and then we will open it up.
Good evening. It's not what you think.
Yeah, you hit it once.
Okay. No.
Sorry.
Sure.
Maybe this one.
Good evening. I'm Captain Connie Russell with the Hurricane Police Department. I'm a proud member of the Hurricane Police Department for the last 29 years, and graduate from Howard County Public School System. I absolutely love Howard County, but more importantly, I worked in Elkridge. The majority of my time on patrol, I worked in Elkridge, and I fell in love with it so much that I bought a house in Elkridge. I raised my 3 children in Elkridge. So when I tell you that Elkridge is near and dear to my heart, it really is, because I'm a member of the community as well, okay? In February, I actually took over as the Northern District Patrol Commander from Chris Williams, who was the captain who, if you guys were here for the last meeting, he spoke about a lot of things as well. I wanted to start off with crime stats. Our crime statistics are used to analyze our trends, to allocate resources, determine if we need to rewrite policy, all of those things. But at the end of the day, each number of those crime stats are linked to an individual. It's a human being at the end of that crime stat. And it's something that we as officers never forget. And it's something that we make sure that we hold each other accountable for, because one crime is one too many, and we truly believe that. I encourage everybody, if you're not familiar with Howard County Police Department's website, I apologize, take my glasses on and off, I'm getting a little older now. Our Howard County Police Department website has a link that you can actually go into an interactive database for crime stats. You can put in your zip code, and I encourage you, if you have a free moment, to download it, or not download, but go into the website and look at those. I will say, for the Elkridge community as a whole, larceny theft continues to be our #1 reported issue in Elkridge. With that being said, when I compared the crime stats from 2024 to 2025, the first 6 months, that's how it is in the website, crimes are down, reported crimes are down in 8 of the 10 categories. So, larceny, theft, assault, destruction of property, fraud, burglary, drug, narcotic offenses, weapons violation, and robbery are all down. The 2 classifications that we are up by 4 reports on motor vehicle theft and 1 report on fraud. Thank you. I know earlier, counterfeiting and fraud. So overall, from the first half of 2024 to the first half of 2025, the crime stat trends are going down. Let me dive into really quick Green Valley specifically, because I know that there are some concerns about that shopping center specifically. For the most part, all of those crimes are down as well. Assaults are down 13%. CBS violations are down 65%. Robbery down 60%. Shoplifting down 35%. Theft from vehicles down 45%. Let me reiterate, this is not just Green Valley Shopping Center. This is also the neighborhood and businesses around Green Valley as well. Theft from vehicle down 45%. Theft or attempt theft of the vehicle is down 17%, and weapons violation are down 70%. Which, you know, we always want those numbers to go in that direction, with the ultimate goal of zeros across the board. For proactive enforcement efforts, we have increased our minimum staffing to allow our watch commanders, such as Lieutenant Knudsen, extra cars, and their primary focus is to staff the Route 1 corridor with an extra car that, for police presence, for proactive enforcement, And in addition to that, he also, when staffing allows, puts together crime suppression details. These crime suppression details are in marked cruisers, sometimes they're in unmarked cruisers. And these are officers who volunteer because they want to make a difference. They are doing traffic enforcement, they're doing robbery and burglary suppression, they're looking for stolen autos. It's a number of things that they're doing. If they come across a crime, they're obviously stopping and taking and handling it appropriately. So our watch commanders have done an excellent job as far as being proactive and making sure the officers are out there working as well. Trying to remember everything you said. So the hotels and motels. Human sex trafficking has significantly changed over the years. Like I said, I've been here 29 years, and the majority of human sex trafficking is done online. It is through apps, it's through web pages, and a lot of the crime is initiated digitally. So Howard County Police Department, as every other police agency, has had to adapt on how we do different investigations. So these investigations are oftentimes done by our Criminal Investigation Bureau, plainclothes details. They have been very successful. We've had multiple arrests, seizure of weapons, seizure of drugs, but the thing I'm most proud of is us giving these victims of human sex trafficking the assistance that they need. Because they are victims, and it's a lot of times if we can get them separated from the person who is trafficking them, that's where we are most successful. As far as uniform patrol, our officers are frequently driving in and out of the various hotels. They have, we have used them, different hotels throughout the county, specifically Route 1 for undercover operations, and the hotels have been cooperative with us, which has been very nice. But as far as uniform patrols, we do, marked and unmarked cars drive through that parking lot. And they're looking for suspicious subjects, they're looking for stolen cars, they're looking for any crimes, hand-to-hand drugs, stuff like that, in an attempt to be proactive. Obviously, it's a little bit harder when they're in a blue uniform and with lights and a car that says Howard County Police on the side, they're not as stealth. But we do try our best in addition to what our Criminal Investigation Bureau has been doing. The satellite officially opened June of this year. It is not staffed 24/7. It is a landing spot for officers to write their reports, to conduct follow-ups, to interview victims outside of the public's view. We have a room in there set up where they can bring victims in and conduct interviews. It is designed to strengthen our relationships with the businesses in the area and the citizens, and keep the officers rooted in the area, meaning they don't have to go back to Elkridge City Station, where they're stationed out of, to write a report. They can actually do it out here and stay in their beat so that the response time stay down. I asked you if you guys see an officer conducting a foot patrol or driving through a neighborhood or whatever, stop them. We are a partnership, and we are only as good as the citizens that we work with. We have to have a relationship, and initiating a conversation, sometimes that's all it takes. I know the officers really appreciate it. I know the officers who have conducted these foot patrols, they tell us all the time at Green Valley when they're doing those foot patrols, the citizens are so thankful and appreciative, and a lot of them have approached them. We ultimately have the same goal, and that's a safer community for you guys and for us. That's our ultimate goal. I I know that they have questions at the end. I have with me, I have Corporal Kendall Brennan, who is our traffic enforcement corporal. We have Elijah Cortez, Sean Pepper, and Corporal Andrew Saffron, who are community outreach and pathway patrol section. Here to answer questions as well. So if I'm not able to, and Lieutenant Knudsen, who works patrol, he is actually on, boots on the ground, works night shift. Hopefully we can be able to answer all the questions at that time.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Ms. Mooneyhan, Director of Rent and Park.
Good evening, everybody. First off, I'm incredibly excited to share the progress on the Elkridge Community Center. So I've been asked to speak towards the Elkridge Community Center and then programming here in Elkridge. So the design and permitting for the center is well underway. It's progressing really well and at a rapid pace for a project of this scale. So the center will be 70,362 square feet to be precise. The gymnasium will be the largest out of all of our community centers at 19,000 square feet. So that's only second in size to the Meadowbrook Athletic Complex. The full building program includes a 16,000 square feet 50-plus center with connections program, the 19,000 square foot gymnasium with the walking track around the courts, multi-purpose rooms, kitchen classroom, a pre-K early learning room, dance studio, fitness room, a dedicated team room, so it'll be the first one out of all of our centers. That also opens up, expands into the game room, forming like a 1,500 square foot room. On November 20th, we'll actually be at the Elkridge Library to hold a team workshop with the team group that Tonya and Library System formed and graciously let me hijack one of their workshops, because we want to hear from the teams on what kind of amenities and down to the furniture and the paint on the walls. What do they want? A lounge, a police satellite office, and of course the future indoor pool, which will be 19,200 square feet. So once the center and the pool is built at a later date, the full center will be 90,000 square feet, which is comparable to North Laurel, even though slightly larger if you don't take into consideration the health department segment of that. So important dates to look for. We're anticipating like a site work groundbreaking, demolition of some of the existing houses on the site in February 2026, that's right around the corner. Construction on the groundbreaking on the building itself sometime between July and August of 2026, and then a ribbon cutting sometime anticipated for February, March of 2028. So a little over 2 years, but it's going to be an amazing building. I'm sure the county executive will be showing some additional renderings at the State of the County address tomorrow. It's not just a community center site, though. The parcel that the center is located on will be a full park as well. So fiscal year 27, there will be a funding request for the park amenities. We're thinking, of course, playground, tennis courts, pickleball, basketball courts, walking paths. But again, we want to hear from the community, so we'll be looking to hold some community engagement after the first of the year to help inform the final design. Moving on to programming, I did tailor this more towards team programming. But happy to answer any questions about other programming in the Q&A section. So Team Kickbacks is one of our kind of drop-in style programs. It's only during the summer, but we made a couple changes this past summer. We moved here in Elkridge, we moved it from the 50-plus center at the library to Thomas Viaduct Middle School. So we doubled the participants by doing that. Total across all of our Team Kickback sites, in 2024 we had 679 participants, and this year we had 1,145. So, growing. With the Elkridge Community Center, we think we'll get more of the numbers that we see at North Laurel, which is 60 to 80 teams every single night that we hold it, where we only had 80 teams the entire 10 nights here in Elkridge. So we have work to do, but we're going to continue to invest in that program. During the school year, we have a program called Team Vibes. This is again a drop-in, self-guided space for teens to relax, socialize after school. We get to use the open gym, video games, billiards, table tennis, and then we even do some field trips, which we can go to Elkridge for some Elkridge with them. So highlighting some partnerships there. That does have a small fee of $15, but it runs. The first session runs from September all the way through December, and then the second session runs from January all the way to the end of the school year, and then our team pick back up. So just highlighting some of our other, of course, we have some of our other programs. We have a tremendous amount of camps and just regular programs all throughout the year that cater to teams or include teams. So I've had our registration staff pull some numbers of just Elkridge team registrants in Elkridge. In the year between 24 and 25, 346 teams participated in Urban Parks programs. So far in fiscal year 26, we're at 177, and we think that will surpass last year's total. So that's 56 activities run at 7 locations here in Elkridge. So again, at the team workshop, we'll have some questions and kind of workshop what kind of programming that speaks to teams, so we can just keep continuing to change to meet their ever-changing needs. So that's it.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to pass it down to Ms. Tracy Roccolino, the President of Community Action Council.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tracy Roccolino. I'm the president of your Community Action Agency. We are the federally designated anti-poverty organization, and we've been fighting poverty in Howard County for 16 years. I have a lot to share with you about the resources that are available to you, and I have some collateral that I'll leave behind. We are one of 17 community action agencies in Maryland and over 1,000 in the United States. And we are designed to be present in the community to fight poverty and identify the causes and conditions of poverty and to address them. Here in Howard County, our main services are, we are the sole Head Start provider, and we have been since 1979. We also do eviction prevention and first month's rent. We are the local energy assistance agency through the Office of Home Energy Assistance. We are the state's largest weatherization provider, so we enter low and moderate income households and perform energy audits and make them more energy efficient. We also do community solar through that and help folks connect to community solar credits. And lastly, and not least importantly, we own and operate the Howard County Food Bank as well as multiple pantries across the county. We are fortunate enough to enjoy multiple partnerships with other human services organizations across the county and across the state. And I brought lots of resources for you, and I will leave them here. And one of the things that we know from our clients is more than a third of our clients that visit our Howard County Food Bank and participate in our early childhood programming are residing on the Route 1 corridor. And so what we do know from them, they tell us all kinds of things, and it helps us to understand how to serve people better, is that when financially people struggle, they often, the first thing that they give up is food. So what I'm going to share with you is not only how to connect with CAC services, so I have these brochures here, and if you don't need CAC services, we also have the donations that you can collect in your community to help us make sure that your neighbors have what they need. But there's also brochures here, both English and Spanish, for the food pantries and hot meals available here in Elkridge and in Ellicott City. And then our food bank director, Carrie Ross, is a member of the local Health Improvement Coalition. She's awesome. And we also have bilingual staff at our Howard County Food Bank that would be happy to connect with folks who might feel nervous about coming to a place called the Howard County Food Bank. And we have helped the LHIC, the Global Health Improvement Coalition, draft this food map, and folks can scan this and find out where food is available throughout Howard County. So we're talking about pantries, we're talking about hot meals, things like that. So I encourage you, if you have these laying around, and take them with you. If you are a member of a church or a congregation where you think this would be a helpful resource. The other thing that is also very helpful is the CARE app. This is something that Howard County has stood up, that if you need assistance with things like housing, transportation, food, whatever, you can download this app or go online or just search like CARE app Howard County and search for your resource. Let's say I live in 21, whatever the zip code is, number. 75. I know my zip code, I don't know where the zip codes are. But if you can search for your zip code and like search what you need, it will tell you in your zip code where to get what you need. This is a huge resource, and the county has invested in this, so I encourage you to take this as well. And one of the things that was mentioned is we are proud to say that instead of waiting for folks to come and find us, we have used data. Our board of directors is awesome, and they have used what we are required to do every 3 years rather, is a community needs assessment, and that has shown us where the greatest needs are in our county. And instead of waiting for someone else to solve any issues, we are coming to this corridor, and on the corner of Montevideo, or some people say Montevideo and Dorsey Run, we will be relocating our Howard County Food Bank because our current food bank is at capacity or over capacity with the number of shoppers. If you've never visited, I encourage you. It's like a little bodega. You get your shopping cart and you can pick what you want and what you need for your family instead of someone telling you what you think you need. And that food bank will be relocated over here on that corner, as well as an early childhood education center with space for other human services, so that folks can come here and get what they need and not have to travel all the way across town. I encourage you to visit our website if you need services, if you'd like to volunteer, or if you would like to donate to support Community Action Council. Our website is cac-hc.org, and we welcome any input or information.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Tonya Akins, the President and CEO of our Howard County Library System.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to give a brief update on two projects, and I'll add a little extra thought for you as well. But these two projects speak directly really to our new strategic plan, as well as our commitment to co-creating resources with our community instead of for our community. So first is the teen internship program at Elkridge. We're honored that HCLS is one of only a handful of organizations in the nation to receive a Robert Wood Johnson Foundation grant to support an 18-month internship centered on compassionate co-governance with teams and staff. And really what that means is we're power sharing, right, with community. We're not going to sit in our bubble and decide what's going to work for teams. We're actually going to engage teams and let them help co-lead this project, which is leaps and bounds from come sit, tell us what you want, place a dot somewhere, and then when we're all done, it's going to look like everything else we've ever done. We really, really want to hear from teams, and we're engaging them deeply and giving them the resources to really participate. So they have so far participated in active listening workshops to understand what that is, right? Active versus passive listening. They have participated in design thinking workshops so that they have the tools needed to really undertake this process and think outside of just what they want and what they may need in the moment to what they may need in the future or to what other teams, present and future, may need. Together, we're transforming 9,000 square feet that is currently occupied by the 50 Plus Center, which will move to next new community center. And then the library will expand into that space for some dedicated team designed kind of hub of learning and connection and belonging. So what makes this project really remarkable is that it really is led by teens ages 13 to 19. Believe it or not, there are about 200 teens that have signed up for this project. See me, I have pictures on my phone. Our space is about as big as this room when you combine the two community rooms the Elkridge branch. We've had so many teams turn out, we've had to take out the tables and chairs, and no one complains about sitting on the carpet. They are truly engaged. We've had many people missing some of their extracurricular activities to come and be with us because they don't want to miss one of the sessions. So they are engaging, as I said, in decision-making, communication, community building, design, and even librarianship. They're not just advising us, they're actively really driving this process. For HCLS, this isn't just about creating a new space, it's really about modeling what co-governance is, equity and shared leadership, and creating a template and a model that we hope is used across libraries, not only here in our county, but nationwide. So we share a lot. We're out at conferences, and that's how Robert Wood Johnson picked us up. So we're grateful for that. I just want to thank our team staff. We've noticed a real gap in our services. A few years ago, we've always been very heavy programming for young children, and we did not have a complement of team staff. So we now have 2 dedicated teen instructors out of the Elkridge branch that are just doing a phenomenal job engaging young people. We've also added some maker creative resources there, so there's now a 3D printer and a laser cutter engraver to go along with everything that's in the DIY to get our teams creative and active. And what we found is when we're deeply engaging them, they are owning the space, and they're proud of the space, and they realize that they have belonging in the space, that they're not just going to be there and somebody's going to write them out because they are acting their age, they're acting like teenagers. And so we're also really training our staff to be as patient with teens as they are with young people who may have a little tantrum, right? Because we're very patient with our youngest community members, and we need to be just as patient with our teenagers. Second is our signage and wayfinding initiative. As we know, our libraries here in Howard County are all physically different spaces, but we are one system. We've heard from the community that they can be difficult to navigate. Dewey is still around. Not everybody loves it, but it's still here. And just physically getting through the library from the time you walk through the door to whatever it is that you may be seeking. So we now are taking under initiative that will make all of the branches unified visibly and really navigable. So we're rolling out color-coded signage across all of our branches, and Elkridge was first. So the signage just went up last week. We invite you to stop in and take a look at that. These signs not only create a consistent brand and feel, but also help community members really move easily within the branch and from library to library. Equally important, the signs reflect the diversity of our community. They feature the top 5 languages spoken in the county, along with iconography for our youngest learners who are not yet reading, and they can follow it. So our children's area is orange, our teen area is teal, our adult area is blue, and so on, and you'll see that across our spaces as we continue to roll this out. Really making sure that everybody feels that sense of welcome and empowerment, whether they have visited us for years or they're very new to our spaces. It says something when you can walk into a space and know how to use the space, and that's really what we're striving for. So I will stop there. I go on and on about all of that fantastic things. Don't forget about us online is the last thing I'll say, especially for all the adults in the room. Not only do we have homework help online, it's free. It's called Brain Fuse. Use it. It's available after school till about midnight. You can upload a paper. You can ask a math problem. There are certified teachers online available to help you young people. You can get behind the paywall of your favorite magazine and or your newspaper. Please use us if there's a resource that you would like to see, and we don't have it, please let us know. We're always striving to serve you better. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. All right, so now I want to hear from you and your questions for them. I just want to go over a couple of ground rules before we get started. I want you to be mindful of your length of your response because there's a lot of here tonight, but we definitely want to hear from you. So just think, how can I be more succinct with my answers? I want you to be respectful. However, I want you to be honest. And I want us all to have goodwill, assuming goodwill. That they may not say we're brainstorming, but we don't know how to say it perfectly yet. So let's not hold it against each other. It's more important to be honest, but we have people who can make change presently. And have a respectful tone. I do love hand signals, yay if you agree, no versus, lewd comments. So, who would like to start?
Is it on, Laura?
Is this on? Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Tracy, when's that scented use of snowboard?
Yeah.
I heard your question. She asked, when is the center due to open? So we hope to break ground, we have like a little ceremonial groundbreaking, right? But we hope to break ground because it takes a little bit to get permits in the county, in the winter, and we hope by, late 2026, early 2027. They're not super complex buildings, so we hope that it goes quickly.
Good evening. I had the opportunity at the end of 2024 to serve on the grand jury, and that Mr. Gibson. Tell Sammy I said thanks. It's pretty interesting to be a citizen on the grand jury and hear the cases of this county. One thing that struck me was how many cases were right here in Elkridge. On the grand jury that hears the county. So, end of 24, the last 4 months, there were several cases of those hotels. And hotels on the other side of Route 1. I know you spoke about it, but it seems to me more has to happen. When I go to work, I see people less desirable all the time. I've been Dunkin' Donuts, or there's definitely some cleaning up to do right here. I live in Hunt Club. We've had a couple of cars broken into recently. I don't know if there's a connection, but in my mind, I want it.
I don't know if there's a connection either. I can't say for sure one way or the other if it is. I know that, and not knowing what cases were at the end of your term there, and thank you for serving on the record. There are details that we run. The details are a little bit more, because like I said, everything's digital, and the investigations themselves do take longer because you're waiting for, search warrants, you're waiting for, records, from gun records and stuff like that. So the investigations are a lot more intense, and it does take, manpower. We have a whole team assigned to human sex trafficking. And, while there's the drug side of it as well, we also have, we have spice narcotics, and we have, human sex trafficking side as well. And we have had, successful cases and successful prosecutions, and, we want to make sure when we're building our cases, we're building them for successful prosecution. There's no sense in, arresting somebody if, Rich can't do his job. That's not fair to us, it's not fair to him, it's not fair to the victim. So, yes, I agree, we still have work to do until I can get that number for human sex trafficking down to 0. There's always work to do, absolutely.
So switch you guys for this one. I just wanted to follow up on that question. When you had mentioned the crime statistics dashboard, when I was looking for it, and I'm new to looking at it, it seemed like the numbers that I was seeing, and I'm assuming this was for, maybe it wasn't for a full year, but it was minuscule. Like prostitution was like 1. Like they were like less than 5, like for trafficking and prostitution. So I just felt that was very, for our zip code of 21075. So just wanted to put that out there. Any other questions?
I'm Howard, and the main thing that I'm concerned about, I got out of Baltimore County, which is the best decision ever. I grew up in Baltimore City. I'll never go back there. It's a disaster, the old man. But anyway,
different even from parts of Elkridge. So the Elkridge, down by Trader Joe's looks very different from, the north end of Route 1. Looks very different from just our neighbors who are over towards the Giant. So I think that comes to an end for people from our state, who are, for those who keep our state road clean and help make policies that help our businesses thrive, and because placemaking also does help with crime. And I would love it if you said your name and maybe a neighborhood that you're from.
Hi, my name is Stan Ryder. I'm a business and property owner on Main Street, and this kind of is a broad topic. It touches to county council, it touches to zoning, it touches to the police department, kind of all three. Your previous person that was in charge for the Northern District assured us in the last meeting that they were going to split up the enforcement division, that some were going to focus on enforcement, such as parking, specifically to where we are on Main Street. Had a major issue on Route 1. It was so bad that when you would call dispatch to report parking on Route 1, they knew exactly where you were. You didn't even have to describe the exact location. Oh, are you talking about Route 1 right next to the bridge? Oh yeah, we get 20 phone calls a day on a Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, I don't know how the powers be. They finally put up a no parking sign. Finally put the tow truck symbol. Seems to have mostly eliminated it. Well, how come that same thing hasn't been done on Main Street, specifically towards the end where you have like Rosskeller restaurants, really nice. The issue seems to be that plague us is that it's a finger pointing game between the police department and the, I guess you would say the county's rules, parking violations. Oh, we can only give a $30. Oh, they can leave the half put together cars all on Main Street, on Route 1. I've seen probably 5 accidents from one guy's auto shop leaving on, and you guys sometimes do something about it, sometimes you don't, sometimes you just drive right past it. So I'm kind of curious what the response would be.
Okay. So 2.5 years ago, we split up our traffic enforcement traffic team. Turned it into half traffic enforcement section and half crash team. So the crash team handles all serious collisions. The traffic enforcement team, who Corporal Brennan is here, and I might have him talk for just a minute. But they handle any complaints coming in through the portal. We have a portal that you can file complaints and stuff like that. Part of special operations, in addition to that, is auxiliary, and we depend heavily on our auxiliary officers for traffic parking violation, because it frees our officers up to handle other calls for service. And we are getting ready to, I believe in October or November, they're having a new auxiliary class, and from my understanding, there's six, about 6 people who are going to be joining, and we only had 3 active members. We had 2.5 active members, because they work full-time jobs, you know what I mean? So it's only certain hours that they can do it. Our traffic enforcement section is made up of a sergeant, a corporal, and 4 additional officers, and they do service the entire county. They go based on where the complaints are and try and handle the complaints. They do speed studies, they do any number of things as far as the traffic enforcement section. I would like you to speak on the portal and where you can locate that. So there's, our county police department has a portal where you can file, you can lodge a complaint, and it could be anything from cars that are speeding to parking complaints to any number of things. And the good thing about the portal, we were talking in the parking lot out there, is it's in black and white, it's lodged, there's follow-up, there's a lot of other things, but it goes towards the statistic of where do we need to reallocate our resources. And we don't always get it right. We do our best, but we don't always get it right. And we rely on the citizen complaints to help us to determine where we reallocate some of our resources.
Can I just say though that having called, asked for like a lieutenant to call back, asking for a sergeant to call back, none.
They haven't called you
Nope,
back?
I've gotten one in a year. One return call in a year.
Okay.
And you guys will just put a green tag on it. Oh, there's nothing we can do. I mean, the cars don't have bumpers. They don't have license plates. It's the whole, my hands are tied. And I guess that's where it comes back to the county administrative level. Like, if you guys are saying that your hands are tied, then what do they need to do? I mean, people are trying to say that we want this place to be nicer. We want businesses to spend money. We want owners of buildings to make things nicer. Well, how can you do that when there's cars that are, it looks like a half junkyard? And then you guys will just, like I said, put a green tag on it, maybe. I've seen ones where they ask them to move it. The guys will say, yeah, police officer leaves. They never move it.
It kind of whips over into school buses can't make that corner, it's tight. In a particular situation where Main Street Railroad is, it's a tight little corner there, it's really small. School buses can't get around, people bus is with a trailer driving behind can't. Often, a lot of us in the neighborhood pulled up on our road and railroad, we pull up, we have to wait. Because on the road, I know where we go through, grass covers park on it. It's getting to be really, really bad, and they do leave cars with 2-flat tires and car parks inside the thing on the railroad right there for days.
You
It's
guys
not
are-
for a couple hours. We're there 3-4 days. It's just getting pretty good.
We see the patrol cars go by. And I think that's the killer, is when you see the patrol car go by, and the guy could stop. And
Unless
could
you want to
stop.
call.
And you
You
don't
want to call. I don't know. I
I'm
don't know
just-
specifically when they're driving by, but they could be on a call.
They don't stop.
Could you also talk about the tagging of vehicles?
Yes, so we're kind of talking about several different issues all at once that generally revolve around parking. So just to touch on the communication between my office, the police department, and the citizens, when you're observing general parking issues, if you're describing with Maryland Railroad, the cars in disrepair, or specific issues like the school bus is a live issue that can be a call for service. The biggest piece is reporting that. And I understand you've done that. But that helps me in my office and other officers in the department, one, establish what the issues are, where they're occurring, and then what resource to properly apply to that. So the website with Hurricane Police, if you do a Google browse for Hurricane Police report traffic concerns, that browser is a catch-all for traffic complaints and including parking complaints. That's where the conversation begins between you and I, that you can document what your complaint is. It's in black and white, it's time-stamped, and I know exactly what you're referring to. That doesn't necessarily generate a call for service because you're reporting that in an online portal, whereas the school bus complaint you're describing service would be a call for service. So once you file that complaint, we then look at, is this a signage issue? Is there a violation that's occurring? Do we have authority to take enforcement? Touching on the green tags, tagging abandoned vehicles or vehicles that are in disrepair that we have authority through the county code to take action on, requires an officer or an auxiliary officer to go out and observe the violation, identify perfectly that there is a violation here. For example, a vehicle with no wheels on it, that's a vehicle in disrepair. That's an abandoned vehicle. The proper way to the county code is to tag that vehicle. If it goes, the remainder of that portion of that tag, you see one portion up from the vehicle, the other gets routed through appropriate resources. They have to revisit it in 48 hours to be able to lawfully tow and remove that vehicle. There are some caveats for detached trailers, dedicated roadways, and the county code does allow us right then and there. That violation does allow us to enforce concerning detached trailers. Signage is not our purview, but we have partners that if you file that complaint and say, I want more signage put up, it doesn't fall on deaf ears and you just say, that's not our job. We then go through the Department of Public Works or an appropriate community entity, that partnership, to say, hey, these are the complaints we're getting, you have the ability to put those up, and then look into putting up that signage, to allow enforcement through either a community, HOA, or police department, we have authority in that way. Does that answer all your questions? Or touch on some of the
You
topics?
did, but you did, but it's still come back. I mean, I've called the county, I got told call and complain, make it a fire lane.
I appreciate your comments.
Yeah.
We want a lot of comments. We want to get as many as we can under our belts. I'm gonna go to you, and then we'll go back.
I was just saying hi, so I'm possible.
Oh, okay. What's your name and your name?
My name is Will. I'm with these guys. I own the Rathskeller, Main Street, Elkridge. I'm going to take a little bit of a different route. The first thing I want to say is I appreciate the work that everyone in uniform does for our community. I do see a big difference, especially when you guys put that satellite up in the Green Valley Shopping Center. I shop there a lot. It's oftentimes when I don't get my ordering right or we get crushed the night before. So I do frequent Green Valley quite often, so I do appreciate the help. Thank you for the information about the public works. I think the best move is obviously to get some sort of signage. I don't know who enforces that. I guess if there's a sign that's put up by the Department of Public Works, I guess you guys would just read whatever that sign is. Great, awesome. I don't know about fire lane. I think maybe like a 15-minute kind of. Just so like my truck. So the reason why I'm here is because back in the day, before all this happened, my delivery trucks would come in on Railroad Avenue, unload and leave, and then clear out that space for the school buses. And now my delivery trucks can't even come in and deliver.
Through railroad?
Through railroad, exactly. Because it's not only are they parking on the curbside, they're also parking on the grass side, where it clearly says no parking. The other day, my minivan can barely fit through. I had to have my wife get out of the car and kind of like, you have 2 inches on this side, you know. So I do appreciate you all. Just keep an eye on things. Like someone earlier said, seems like the north end of Elkridge does seem forgotten sometimes. I mean, for goodness sakes, it's called Main Street. I would love a little bit more love from our own community into visiting. There's a really nice salon over there, and there's another fine dining restaurant around the corner from us. And a great bike shop. So we're trying to make things happen for you guys and for the community, and we do appreciate the support. But we love a little back scratch just in the parking area.
Well,
Appreciate
last
it.
thing, we didn't just come tonight, go, hey, we're gonna talk to them. We have been banging on the doors, talking to these guys. There's one company on the corner there that is just rigged out into the neighborhood. And they're just affecting school buses, God forbid, fire trucks. We've gone to them to, hey, don't do this. These got kids, motorbikes up and down. We've tried to put a leash on them ourselves, and I'm bothering you guys. And it's just not working. It's falling deaf ears to them. So we're just hoping to squeeze a little bit.
Sounds to me signage is gonna be the best option, and, we certainly are super shocked and, follow up with that.
Yes, thank you. And I'm also a Main Street resident, and so I appreciate all these comments. I also want to just let you know that if you signed in tonight and put your contact information, we will email all resources that we've discussed tonight, so you don't have to, be wondering if you're going to get it. So they're going to come in.
Hi, my name is Holly Holmes. We live in Rockland Commons. And in the past, I think it's been 2 weeks, we had 2 cars stolen, 1 truck broken into, and I just heard that another car was stolen out of the apartment, Elkridge apartments. And I have several neighbors that have ring cameras, and they've been watching for more police presence up and down our street and have not seen it. This is not me personally, this is what I've heard from the neighbors for Serene. And that's the biggest thing I want to say, because we're talking about abandoned vehicles. We've lived in Rockford Commons for over 30 years. There is a broken down truck with a trailer right on Rockledge Court that has not moved, I swear, for 10 years. I have written in 3 times, emailed, whatever, and it's still there. Broken windows, never moves. But the police presence where the stolen cars have been is my biggest concern. Thank you.
We're not the only police agency getting hit. It is nationwide with our theft of autos. And, leaving us and your vehicle is not there. You have to go to work and your vehicle's not there, and now you're stuck trying to find a ride, trying to file a police report, everything else. And, you know, so that's where we recover them, and sometimes we're not successful in recovering them. It's equally as frustrating to us. I can, we took notes about where you live, and I can certainly ask patrol as well. I will say, Lieutenant Commissioner Platoon, they use the unmarked a lot. I don't think that they used it the past week, so I don't know when those vehicles were stolen. So even though you may not, you know, our auto theft guys, they're out there as well. They're part of the squad. They're all in unmarked as well. So I can't say whether they have or not. You know, we don't always log area checks of absolutely everything because it would make our, you know, the driver just like crazy, and it would make our call volume significantly increase. But you know, the officers are trying during their shifts to drive through. The problem is we are getting hit everywhere. We do have a lot of ones on the Route 1 corridor, off the Route 1 corridor. And it's just, it's everywhere. It's everywhere between Western and everywhere.
As I said, I've been living on Rockledge Court for 30 years. Never has that happened, never. And now, just within the past, was it 2 weeks?
It was started at the beginning of the month in September with my truck getting broken into, and then I lit up pretty much the entire corridor there, like the 4th of July, with cameras and brighter lights, and doing like 18-hour shifts where I'm just constantly surveilling the street. And I've asked your officers that have come out to report not only about my vehicle, but the other vehicles within the last 2 weeks that have been stolen, and told them everything I'm doing, and asked, you know, could there be more of a police presence? You know, you go on Nextdoor, you go on the Ring Neighbor app, you go on Facebook. This gentleman's over here saying that he lives in Hunt Club. It's like you were saying as well, it's sporadic, it's all over this common area right here. And it's almost like we're victims living in our own homes, and the perpetrators that are out there, they have the upper hand on us. Unfortunately, Maryland doesn't have a stand your ground law, where I would start pursuing those kind of actions as well.
So, I'm Mindy Matthews, and the question I have that I hear a lot about is, at any given time in the Elkridge area, how many officers are assigned here? I know you have 2 shifts now, 12-hour shifts. So, how many officers patrol the area?
So approximately 3. And so the way that these are aligned, they align our these kind of alongside the fire department. So some of an officers might encroach into Elkridge City or Jessup or something like that. But typically along the route corridor, there's typically 3 officers working. Day shift, 3 officers night shift. If we have extra cars, again, the Washingtonians are putting the resources out the boulevard, so there should be a sport. Thank you.
Questions? If not, I'm gonna ask questions.
What if?
What if?
I know you can't answer this because it's outside of your purview. But you mentioned you can go online to submit a parking complaint. CAC lady mentioned, I forgot your name, mentioned Marlene, that you can go on this app to find out where resources. Can we just integrate that all into Telhoco in one place so people aren't getting the abandoned vehicles and then paying it over to you? And it just can be, it's like kind of in the ether. As a county, can we integrate all those into one app of resources? Because we are training people to use Telhoco, but now I have to train people to use CARE, and I have to train people to use the police report. So it's just kind of putting that into the ether, please. Manifest.
I wish I had an answer because I barely turn on my TV half the time. I am not good at electronics. So, I mean, I don't like all the apps on my phone, so I agree with you. But
Right, but when you're out and
really
about,
answer it.
the joy of Telhoco is when I'm out and about and I see a parking violation, I'm not opening up it right there. And the other joy about Telhoco is they report stuff, and they don't get a response. When you report on Telhoco, you see your report, and you see when it's acknowledged, and then other people can see your report, so it also creates awareness, and then it just gets the community more involved about what the various things are happening.
I do know that there has been like somewhat of an effort to do that on the county side. I've heard things like that, but there's like some difficulties that they're having with like, oh, well, developers do it here or whatever, but I can follow up on that and see like how, if we can constituent, you know, because the constituent there's a difference, I think, what is a struggle when it comes to like some DILT and DPZ type stuff. I think that's where the like issues are, so I'm wondering if that's something that we can do so we can move it back.
Thank you.
Questions? Can you comment on the kiosk, or the satellite, I should say the satellite? So, we know that we knew when coming into it that it was not going to be like staff. However, though, we feel like it's never had an individual in it. We just do not feel it. Whether that's true or not, we do not feel it. And I think what people are meaning, so fine, maybe that will make it, that's an intervention that makes an issue, but people are wanting to feel a presence. So at the same time, though, not going to the extreme of like everything is all locked up, but we need community officers. So where are we with that? We're having people in the community that are just visible, uniformed or ununiformed.
So Officer Pepper, I have you stand up. This is your Elkridge Community Resource Officer. He's fairly new to his position, a couple months. And Officer Cortez was previous. So he's kind of your go-to. I did pull for the satellite trailers. I pulled a number of times officers were in there since they opened. It was 538 times that our officers have entered into the trailer since June 1st. So while it may not feel like there's officers there, I know that they are utilizing it. And I can only pull it this way, like we have card readers, or if you bypass the card reader, we had issues with the locks for a while, so officers were using a key. But all in all, they had 538 times where there was either a sworn member or there was twice an auxiliary member went inside the satellite.
Hi, I'm Jazz. I live near St. Augustine. Is there a staffing formula for how many officers should be in a given area? 3 seems low. I don't really want like a police state, but I'm wondering if maybe that's why some of the parking tickets can't be handled, or there's other, like is there a certain ratio of so many crimes or equate so many police officers? Is there any way we can get more than 3?
I do not know if there is a standard. Lieutenant Rizzo was saying there's an FBI standard in population, it's based on population. We did a study back in 2018, around 2018, and we did a beat realignment to allow for additional coverage in specific areas, because the officers in certain beats were getting absolutely slammed, and we had other officers who, had 1 or 2 calls in a 12-hour shift. So we did a lot of reallocation of resources back in 2018, and when they did, we hired a private consultant, and when the private consultant came back, this is how they said it was the best reallocation of resources. I don't know too much about that study, whether it was done population, call volume, types of calls. I don't know that. And I don't know what formula we would use outside of the FBI. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think about answering you, because I don't know what other formula we would use or what other agencies would use. Because crime changes so frequently in certain areas, I don't know if it could be based on crime versus based on population. So I have to think about that. I'm sorry.
It's population.
It is. Well, that's what the FBI is, right?
FBI says 2 officers per 1,000. But FBI says 2 officers per 1,000 individuals. It's not standard because obviously some areas have higher rates of crime, other areas have lower rates of crime, so it's just a suggestion. 2 officers per 1,000 people. There's 330,000 approximately people in Howard County, so about like 2 people.
I would love more officers.
Well, just 1 or 2 more questions, and then we are going to then wrap up.
I'm very honored, not only am I the CEO of Green Valley, but importantly, I live in the community. In Elkridge, been here for 25 years, and my concern is for both things, my business and for the community. Gentleman asked, why is there, seem like there's more crime around the Elkridge Corner Center versus the Giant versus Uber where Trader Joe's is? One answer, the hotels. That's where it is. That's where the crime is coming from. There's no doubt about it. As a business, we're held to very strict standards. If we do something wrong, we get cleared down. How many of these hotels are closed down? None. So what we want to do is we're investing in the community. We want to invest. But if we can't do anything on round 1, we have to do something about these hotels. How many other businesses are in the room? Raise your hand. Exactly. Green Valley's here because we care. We don't have armed police person in the business. We won't do that. We hire a third party. Only outside with the bank we have that because we're running people off our property all the time. We have a great relationship with the Howard County Police. They are very reactive. They don't want this either, but I would challenge you. I do not believe that the unit that we put in our parking lot is being used as much as you think it is. I've never seen a car there. I live here. My wife shops there every day. She's never seen a car. Tom brought the store manager, brought my risk manager, I brought my BP, the owner of the shopping center. We all have the same problem. We're not utilizing the taxpayer dollars for your benefit too. I'm sure you'd like to have more police officers. The presence isn't there. You're not scaring the people off. So we want to work with you. And I've written to everybody, and Mr. Walsh was kind enough to invite me here. We'll keep people to help. We want to help you. We want to do everything we can. We want to partner with you. But it's not getting better. It's getting worse. And we want to invest back in the store. But when I talk to my board of directors, they're saying, hey, you just had a person that shot in the market. Yes, it was a freak of nature. It wasn't a territorial crime, but it happened. When the community sees that, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Giant where they haven't had that happen, or are they going to go to Green Valley? So, my wife shops there. I want to be safe for my community, for my employees, and for people who shop there. So, tell me, I'm reaching out to you. How can I help partner with the police, the county, the community to make it safer?
I know my officers doing foot patrols and stuff like that. I heard them call out. I was talking to Liz the other day, and I was like, I said, as I was leaving, another one was passing me coming in. And I can only go by what our card readers are saying that they're entering the building and not. Are they entering and staying for 2 minutes? Are they entering and staying for a half hour, writing a report or an hour? I don't know that. But our readers don't do that. Being our eyes and ears and calling us as early as you can is the biggest part. If you see something, say something. If somebody's acting suspicious, or I would much rather us go and look at, determine if it is or if it isn't. If it's somebody needing assistance, or if it's somebody who's getting ready to commit a crime, and even if our contact with them stops them that time for the crime, it's one less crime committed. And just you guys being our eyes and ears is the biggest tool that we have.
This is our last question, and we're going to summarize.
Can I add something?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
exclusion. So now it's called the outreach pathway section. So I guess what we come up here telling you this is that, how many of you guys have heard the community outreach pathway section this year? No, okay. So what we mainly do is, we're kind of the bridge between community and patrol. So our job is to make contact with businesses, members of our community, and create that relationship, right? The better relationship we have with you, the more you're inclined to trust us with information, right? And our job is to get to know what's going on within the community. I was the first community resource officer for Elkridge. 19 years ago, my 18 years ago, police department, we've never had an Elkridge community resource officer, not that I know. So I was the first police officer or community resource officer for Elkridge. And my job was to handle the quality of life issues. That's very general. It goes from parking complaints to drug dealing, all those in between, assault, etc., all the crimes. So our job is to, again, to make contact with you, go to these community meetings, and to see what really is going on within your community, your neighborhood, your businesses. And just get to know you guys and some of our bad apples that are within our community, right? And usually it's just a small group of people that affects the quality of life issues that you guys have. Sounds like you guys are, we're all having concerns about. So that's our job, my main concern. Also, to go with my spot is also Pepper. So he's over here. If you guys are not familiar with our website, please go on the Howard County website, government website, and on there, just on the search engine is community outreach, and we have a portion on there for community meetings. So you just put on community meetings on there, request come and meet with us, and with your either HOA, community, with your neighbors, let us know. We'll come out there and we'll personally meet with you, and listen and try to come up with answers or problem solve with each and every one of you. So the way we handle business, we handle business by conducting data. We're a database analytics type of unit. So we look at calls for service in our police database, and we allocate those resources that we have. We're able to do grab mountain bikes, motorcycles. We can be in patrol uniform. We can do undercover stuff like in plain clothes and unmarked vehicles for surveillance. So, for example, when I was back in February, the main issue of Green Valley Marketplace was the Walgreens. And we had addicts from Baltimore City that was hitting the Walgreens nonstop every week, every day. So my investigation led me to Baltimore City, South Baltimore, and we conducted surveillance for almost a month. And we're able to see and catch these people, do a search warrant. We ended up having like 12 lockups and solve that community issue that we had with the Walgreens. So that's what the gentleman over here said that everything was locked up at the Walgreens. That was mainly the issue, was because people were hitting the Walgreens from the city, coming in and breaking into the Walgreens and stealing all their things. But how did I find that out? It's through our data analytics. I found a crime trend, made contact with our partners, with the business owners, and went in depth with what really is going on. Sometimes with patrol, we have different shifts. So one shift may not know what's going on when the next shift comes in. Our job is to fill that gap, that information gap. So that's why we go, my suggestion to you is call. If there's an issue going on within your community or your businesses, make sure to call 911 or our 900 number so we will know about it. Our job is to find those trends. So that's a lot of these issues. Like I've been with this unit for almost a decade now. And that's how we handle these issues in addition to our banding program. So with our Green Valley Marketplace, I was able to identify the small group of adults that were causing all the issues in that marketplace. We administered the banding program with the Green Valley Marketplace to enforce those banding programs. Once these small group of people that were causing all the issues were banned, the bottleneck for the businesses has gotten better. So that's all I have. So.
And after the meeting is over, Officer Pepper's going to be here. He has business cards that if you want to speak to him, if there's particular issues like that parking issue or something, we can liaison between the different units in the department, like Corporal Brennan and the other units that are available in the police department. But because he is your Elkridge officer, you should feel comfortable talking to him and bringing issues to his attention, or even if he may not be the specific officer that's tasked with that kind of enforcement, he can bridge the gap, like Officer Cortez said, to get you guys the services that you need. So he's here for you. This is a proven formula that works. We use it to great success in the village centers of Columbia. So where, you go to Columbia, you have like Harper's Choice and Wild Lake, and we have officers that are assigned to those particular areas, and they are well known and trusted by the members of the community. And so now Officer Pepper is here for you guys. And like I said, you'll have his business cards, and please feel free to reach out or distribute that as needed. He's here for you guys.
All right, apologize, we run out of time for more questions. But I'm going to hand it over to Liz Walsh, but I just want to summarize that at the end of the day, it's about solutions. And I know we've talked a lot about things, but what we're really pressing is from your department, like, we need you to like try and find us too. And we need dollars. I'm looking at all the faces who have hands in pockets. We need dollars. Like, it needs to be distributed amongst the counties appropriately. So there's a problem. It is obvious. Not just relying on us to just call. We know this is an obvious problem. None of us would feel safe walking down that street.
I want to thank Laura Wisely for moderating this discussion and doing all the prep work in advance. Mary Leteri from our office, D1, is the one that you get when you call 313-2001. Or send an email to Council 1, District, whatever it is, Maryland. It's on the cards in the back. I'll mess it up if I say it.
Don't listen to her, get the card.
We have a stack of cards in the back. So pull one, and Mary is there 5 days a week, responds, knows all the people to call, put together this wonderful panel for us. If you didn't get called on during the questions, that means you're really good. And if you did get called during the questions, it means you're really, really good. But we have some follow-up to do. I think we heard it. We'll work on it. I want to give a special thank you to Rick Rogers from Green Valley, bringing all your crew here. And Sir Ryan will get you your crab pretzels, so thank you for that. Mary, Isaiah from our council office was here and helped us set this all up because they didn't think
He left, but he's cool.
He left because he's going to have to be back at work. And hot off the press is that Wendy delivered to me when we first began our question and answer session, and maybe she just made it up. But it says that one of our panelists mentioned that tomorrow is the county executive state of the county. And that tends to be, at least in the last couple of years, this kind of announcement of all these things that really nobody really knew about and is sometimes very wonderful. It has been for Elkridge the last couple of years. And so maybe related to that, or maybe a continuation of some of the awesome things that Nick Moody had from Rec and Parks, and Tonya talked about from the library, and Tracy talked about from CAC. The executive has announced that there will be a meeting here in the same location on October 7th, which is just next week, right? To discuss future projects right here in Elkridge. Please grab a card in the back, please grab one of us on your way out. We are here to serve you, and that's our job, so let us know if you need help. And we'll follow up on these issues tonight.